Okay, so let's do a quick wrap up here.
Yeah.
Who's going first?
Why don't I go first? Because I think you've gone first the past few times.
Sure, do it.
So we watched, I think we should go all the way back to, we watched The Man Who Fell to Earth on
Yes.
Monday, which is a David Bowie film by the guy who did Don't Look Now, who is a famous director.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed it. Speaking of inventive and strange and weird, David Bowie is an alien who's come to Earth and needs to do some things. And
There's
it's,
something about water and I don't know.
yeah, don't worry about it. It's weird. It's weird and interesting. And I enjoyed it. I think I liked it more than you, and that's fine. It was a little more of a Sarah movie. Let's see. We also watched Jumanji yesterday.
Yes.
I guess, should I talk about that one here? Then we won't talk about it. So we watched the 1995 Jumanji, and I enjoyed it more than I expected. It was silly and fun, and it's the kind of movie that if a small child were to force me to watch it, I prefer it to many other movies that small children may force you to watch. But I'm unlikely to watch it on my own again. But it was cute.
Yeah.
It was cute.
I don't really have anything to add to either of those movies either. I liked Man Who Fell to Earth. Is a little too long for me, I guess, maybe. And Jumanji, I agree with you. It's practical effects mixed with computer effects, some really funky looking monkeys. That's right, my sweet spot in Jumanji.
Yeah. And the way the computer graphics not looking fantastic for Jumanji kind of worked for me because
it's all a game.
It's all a game. They're not real monkeys anyway. They're monkeys that came out of a game. I personally, though, prefer the newer Jumanji films, I should say, with The Rock.
I think I do too.
Yeah, I'm not going to say they're any better. I don't know. Who knows? But I prefer them.
Yeah.
And I just today finished watching a K-drama that I didn't really enjoy. But it's interesting. I'm watching it for a friend. Remember the one I was telling you about with the single dad?
Yes.
So this is the one they made before that, and it was kind of the same writer and director, I think. And I don't fully understand how it works, but a lot of these people it's not unlike what happens here, that people tend to work with each other repeatedly rather than necessarily getting a whole new group of people every time. Right. But this one, it was interesting to watch it all just fall apart and become something I didn't really like very much. And it kind of interesting. Who was I talking about this? To kind of see the tropes. Again, it's, you see the same kind of tropes and you can see when they work and when they don't, and what went wrong that didn't work here and so on. Yeah. And my friend who likes it definitely likes things that are well produced. And the writing was pretty good until the story didn't work. And the characters started acting like they'd had brain implants or something like that. But I personally kind of prefer a messy, not as well written drama if it goes somewhere that I want it to go, which is how I feel about movies too, where it's kind of like, take me somewhere I want to go and I'll forgive the fact that some of it doesn't make any sense, kind of a thing. So it was interesting. I had actually just finished rewatching the one with the single dad, which is really good. And that's the one you should watch. And it actually has the same lead. So
cool.
It's lead guy. So it was interesting to see that. And that's it. I'm going to finish another K-drama. This other one I'm watching, maybe I'll talk about it next time. I've got to watch something for our father. We've got to start watching old rom-coms. That's kind of my plan.
Yeah, what are the two we're doing next week?
Ninotchka and It Happened One Night, which will be interesting because I don't like Capra, and I have watched It Happened One Night, but it's been a very long time and I don't remember it at all.
I'm indifferent to Capra. I enjoy his work well enough, I guess. I haven't seen that much of it, but okay. So what I have watched I watched Mean Girls. Did I even tell you that I watched that?
No, the Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah,
that's fun. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, I kind of expected to not like it because it's from 2004. It's Lindsay Lohan, and she's a bit of
I
an
mean, that's the
odd.
same year as Alien versus Predator, so
There you go. She's a bit of an odd person to sort of interact with. You know, she's not. I don't know how problematic she is. Is maybe so much a mess. Maybe I don't know. I don't know that much. But the movie was
I mean, I've
ultimately.
watched The Canyons, which is the Paul
I know you
Schrader,
bring it up all the time.
James Dean. Like, I like being parts of niche audiences. What can I say?
um, it was pretty good. I was surprised. It's mostly enjoyable. There's some stuff that doesn't land terribly well, you know, and 16, 17 years later, but mostly it's enjoyable. I got to scratch a box off of my, 100 movies poster. And yeah, it was interesting. Oh, and it was also interesting to see a really young Rachel McAdams, um,
Hmm.
because she plays
Oh, I
the.
haven't watched it recently, and my memory of it is not great, but I do remember it being good and a nice entry into the kind of mean-spirited teen films.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it,
that
it was sort of an interesting look back at time in an earlier era.
like you'd watch that and Booksmart and Heathers all together or something
Never
like
seen
that.
Heather's, but yeah, that sounds about right. So then I watched Kiriko and the Sorceress, which is a French film, I think, but it's African folklore. I forget which folklore in which country specifically it's getting its inspiration from. It's one of those things where I'm always curious. I've seen a couple of French movies now that sort of, I think, that are like, what was it? There's Black Orpheus, which is like a French director, but it takes place in Brazil. So it's like, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't, the French, it's that thing where it's like, oh, this is a white guy making a movie about Black people. It's more
Hmm.
complicated because it's international. But, anyways, it was ultimately an enjoyable folklore film. It's not really your kind of thing. It's mostly allegory. And I don't really like allegory that much either. It was more interesting just as kind of a unique-ish thing that I hadn't quite seen something like this before, so I enjoyed it.
The guy
Um,
who produced it also produced Triplets of Belleville.
yeah, it's yes. I watched Godzilla versus Megalon, which for some reason my brain is forgetting entirely this movie, but as I recall, I really enjoyed it. Um, Megalon. Which monster is Megalon? Because the other monster also. Oh no, Megalon. Right. I remember this movie now. Yeah, this movie is fun. This is one of the fun Godzilla movies. It's not as good as Hedorah, which I think is still my favorite of the post first movie movies. But yeah, no, it was really fun and goofy and silly, and there's some other ones that have better story. Apparently, this one is not well regarded, I think, by people, but I don't quite get that. But what do I know? Haven't really looked into the culture of
You're allowed
Godzilla.
to have your own opinion too.
I am. But this was one of the enjoyable Godzilla
Or the
movies.
one that I tell you can have anyway.
There you go. I was waiting for that. Uh, then I watched Take Aim at the Police Van, which is an early Seijin Suzuki movie. I entirely worship the feet of Seijin, the shoes. No, what's that phrase? I worship Seijin Suzuki. He's gone now. He died like a couple years ago. But he makes these movies like this movie is somehow less
Are they
coherent.
creative?
They're very creative. I mean, Branded to Kill is Seishin
That's one
Suzuki.
I've seen, and it is
Yes,
really good.
it
It
is
is
really
really
good.
good.
It's also so Branded to Kill is really out there, right? It's just a really out there movie,
Yeah.
but it all makes sense. Like you understand what it's doing, how it's getting there. It's got a plot and a
It's got an
character.
internal logic. It's bonkers,
Right.
but
Take Aim at the Police Van like somehow managed to be less weird than the other Suzuki movies I've seen, but make less sense kind of altogether. Like it's just a little early and he hasn't quite figured out how to
yeah.
put all the scenes together to make things work in his own internal logic kind of way. So I don't know. It was enjoyable. It was a good movie. I've seen better, but interesting. And then which it's a part of the Japanese noir collection on Criterion, and it's another noir collection. So I'm gonna watch it. And I'd already seen 5 or 7 of the movies before I even done anything because I like Japanese movies. Anyways, the next one I saw was Black River, which is another Japanese noir. It has Tatsuya Nakadai in it. It's like I think the role that made him famous or started getting him more roles, and he's more famous now for being in Ran and Yojimbo and a number of other movies that are not directed by Kurosawa. I enjoyed Black River. I get why it's in the Japanese noir collection, though I would hesitate to really call it a noir. I don't know. I'm not ultimately an expert on these things, but it's more just like a crime movie and less a noir. I don't know. It was really neat. It had a lot of neat stuff in it. It's probably a little more boring than Take Aim at the Policeman or something else, but ultimately kind of interesting, entertaining, enjoyable, not 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 to like great degrees. But I also watched Blade, which weirdly connected the two bad movies we watched because Sana Lathan, who's the lead in Alien versus Predator, is in Blade, and Donald Logue, who is a random side character in the Cloverfield Paradox, is in Blade as well. So I got Cloverfield and Alien versus Predator together in Blade. I'd never seen Blade. I knew that it was a big.
I haven't seen it. I think it's kind of on my list of movies I need to see.
It might actually be the kind of action movie you enjoy. It's a bit hard to tell. You're pickier with action movies than even anything else, and I already have trouble figuring out what you'll enjoy. But it's kind of interesting. It's a little different. Wesley Snipes is good. Chris Christopherson shows up as a character, and he's kind of fun to watch.
With Stephen. Oh, it is the one with Stephen Dorff. Maybe I've watched it and I don't remember. That's a possibility.
Also a possibility, but I enjoyed it. I also the very next movie I watched the same day was Judgment at Nuremberg.
Just keeping it real.
Keeping it real. It's interesting because I mostly know the Nuremberg trials as being intensely like scrutinized since they happened, like from all sides. Like not enough was done, too much was done. They weren't really, proper court trials. And so this movie was very much like, it was just interesting to see this perspective. It wasn't super directed, but it was definitely on the side of like, what's that phrase? It's that thing where it's like, if you knew something was happening, it's a crimes against humanity. You can't just get away from it, even if you weren't the one pulling the trigger. It's right. That's what most of the movie kind of interacts with and contends with, and some other stuff too. It's a 3-hour long movie. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed it. It was also interesting because William Shatner's in it randomly, and a number of other actors and actresses, and it's led by Spencer Tracy, and it's got stuff going on. So I enjoyed it. Not a great movie, I guess. Maybe other people would think it's great. It's good movie. Had Ernest Laszlo, your cinematographer. Isn't that your guy?
I think so. He was showing up in a bunch of stuff I was watching, and I don't know that he's mine, but
well, no, but he's come up for us. But anyways, that's what I watched. I've made it to season 9 of Stargate SG-1, so we're really getting there. There's a few less episodes in these last 2 seasons. I think I think it was like 24 episodes for a while, and then 20 episodes for the last couple seasons. But that's kind of what I'm doing, and I'm gonna watch movies like usual. I think we're gonna watch Yentl before it leaves the Criterion Channel, and of course we're gonna watch those rom-coms. And I don't know that I'm gonna have a big movie week. I am very busy at work, and I've got a cat running around distracting me from being too.
I've heard her.
Manic.
It's funny. Any of the noises you're hearing are most likely your cat. My cat was doing things for a moment, but
I think my microphone is probably more sensitive than yours, and I don't know. She's also like she's just running. She'll just run from like the bedroom to the window to the bedroom to the window in the kitchen. Like I don't know. Kitten. Hey, why not?
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's it for us.
I want you to watch another episode of It's Okay to Not Be Okay in the next week.
I will watch another episode of that in the next week. I can do that.
I'm just saying what I want. I'm not saying it has to happen, but I'm saying
I can give you this small happiness. Put that on a shirt.
I can give you this small happiness.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.